Greetings, fellow moviegoers, and welcome to Movie Central, the place to talk about movies, TV shows based on movies, toys based on movies, games based on movies, and rides based on movies. I'm your host, Mr. CCS, and this is my pet gorilla, George. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I love the finale to a series. Movie series usually have to go out with a satisfying conclusion. And to me, the best finale to a movie series ever is Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, which were both absolutely phenomenal in their presentation, emotion, and many other things. And one of my favorite things about these two movies is that they were both part of a two-parter story. Infinity War set up the story and ended with a dark ending, whilst Endgame picked up the story of Infinity War and where it left off and continued down the path to ending a series. This is what eventually made these two movies the two of the best films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You'll see what I mean once I review these two movies soon. But the point is that these two movies achieved the impossible by ending a series of 20 other movies inside of it. That sounds hard, but imagine if a movie series had 6 previous movies to wrap up in just 2 movies in the span of 2 years. That's exactly the case with the 2 movies I'm reviewing today. Today, we're going to look at the final movies in the Harry Potter series, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Parts 1 and 2. Let's get through it. Without the guidance and protection of their professors, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, played by the same actors of the previous movies, begin a mission to destroy the Horcruxes, the sources of Voldemort's immortality. Though they must rely on one another more than ever, dark forces threaten to tear them apart. Voldemort's Death Eaters have seized control of the Ministry of Magic in Hogwarts, and they are searching for Harry, even as he and his friends prepare for the ultimate showdown. A clash between good and evil awaits, as young Harry, Daniel Radcliffe, Ron, Rupert Grint, and Hermione, Emma Watson, prepare for a final battle against Lord Voldemort, Ralph Fiennes. Harry has grown into a steely lad on a mission to rid the world of evil. The friends must search for the Horcruxes and keep that dastardly wizard immortal. Harry and Voldemort meet at Hogwarts Castle for an epic showdown, where the forces of darkness may finally meet their match. Wow, that was a lot to take in, but these movies put together are an epic conclusion to this franchise. What makes these two stories great, despite having an emotional story? Well, let's find out. Now, for the characters, pretty much all of the characters from the previous films return, but the ones that matter are Harry, Ron, Hermione, Voldemort, and Dumbledore. Let's talk about them. Now, Harry, without Dumbledore, must fulfill his destiny and become the hero he is destined to become. He's got to stop Voldemort, and he's got to do it successfully by destroying the Horcruxes. He may be the hero, but he can't do it alone. Ron and Hermione are there at his side all the way through, being the greatest friends they've always been. Ron must become confident, and Hermione must drop the know-it-all status and become a heroine. As for Dumbledore, his main driving force is his presence and the legacy that he left behind after being killed in the last movie. He gives Harry the confidence he needs to defeat the Dark Lord, which is all in favor of saving the generation and the future generations. As for Voldemort, he is royally pissed off at the fact of being defeated, that he wants everyone who is in his way finally dead, even children, which makes Voldemort one of the most evil villains in the entire history of pop culture, and Ralph Fiennes does a great job of portraying this threat. Okay, now for the visual effects. Overhead voice, it's time for you to show up. Okay then. 2010 and 2011 served as a great year for VFX, and the VFX in these two movies are no different. In part 1, it was the scene where Ron destroys the locket, where the movie shines in the visual department. And in part 2, the entire total combined 40-minute action scene of the Battle of Hogwarts was where that movie's VFX shined. There's not very much to it afterwards. Now time for you to finish off this review amazingly, yield critic. Thanks, overhead voice. Okay, the music in both movies was done by French composer Alexandre Desplat, who does a great job of hitting you in the face with emotion for both of the scores for both movies. Though I will say, I would have loved if John Williams came back to do the score, as he started the series off strong. But then again, Alexandre Desplat does great jobs with scores for Wes Anderson films like Fantastic Mr. Fox. And as for the action, holy crap, there's so much good stuff. In part 1, the battle in the Ministry and the battle at Malfoy Manor are highlights. And in part 2, the best scene of the movie to all of us was the Battle of Hogwarts for its mix of emotion, VFX, and a satisfying way to kill a villain. So yes, these two movies ended the franchise with a bang. And nothing else can change that. Even though the Fantastic Beasts movies are coming out, I have to say those new movies will never be as epic nor as fantastic as these ones. Accio, 10 out of 10! Well, that's my final Harry Potter review. Feel free to leave your comments on the movie below in the comments section, and tune in next week when I take a look at the game-changing comic book movie from Marvel, Black Panther. With that said, I'm Mr. CCS, this is Movie Central, and that, my friends, is a wrap. See you next week.